The
Listen to me
flashing
very
red and blue
carefully.
lights
Do you
washed over
understand why
Marcus
I
Hale's
pulled you
skin
over?
like an accusation.
Sir,
He stood on
I
the
was just heading
sidewalk
into the
outside the
building.
glass tower his company
I
occupied.
said stay right there.
His company,
Do you understand
watching
me?
the patrol car skid to a
Yes,
halt
I
in front of
understand.
him. The evening air was crisp,
not resisting.
metallic, carrying the muted hum of city traffic and the faint buzz of office lights shutting down floor by floor. He'd only stepped out to take a breath. Officer Briggs didn't ask questions. He didn't look at Marcus's ID, still in Marcus's raised hand. He just stepped close enough that Marcus could smell the cheap coffee on his breath. Loitering outside office buildings at night. Briggs said, "You jobless types find new corners every week." The words cut clean and deep, sharp as a cold wind that rustled Marcus's jacket. Jobless. Like he hadn't spent 12 years building Axiom Tech from a cramped apartment to 40 international offices. Like he didn't own the top 6 floors behind him. Marcus inhaled slowly. The building's marble facade reflected Briggs's uniform like a threat stamped in blue. "I work here," Marcus said quietly. Briggs's lips curled. "Sure you do." His hand hovered near his holster, not touching, just close enough to twist Marcus's stomach. A second patrol car turned the corner, lights flaring. Pedestrians slowed. No one stepped in. Marcus felt the shift, the moment when a misunderstanding calcifies into danger. Then Briggs leaned in, voice low, confident, final. "Let's see how long that story holds up downtown." And before Marcus could speak, Briggs reached for his handcuffs. The metal glinted once in the streetlight, and then everything snapped forward. Marcus Hale stepped into the night air and let the glass doors whisper shut behind him. The lobby glow fell away, leaving him in the cool hush of the street. It was past 10. Most of the offices in the tower were dark except the top floors, his floors still lit by scattered teams racing deadlines. He loosened his tie, inhaling the metallic scent of downtown. Footsteps scraped behind him. A patrol car rolled up, tires skimming the curb. Then, the sharp slam of a door. "Hey, you!" A voice barked. Marcus turned. Officer Briggs approached with brisk, practiced authority, scanning Marcus up and down like measuring a threat. The man's hand hovered near his belt. Marcus kept his voice level. "Evening." Briggs ignored the greeting. Loitering outside closed buildings is suspicious. "I'm not loitering," Marcus replied. "I work here." "Right," Briggs said, lips tightening. "Got ID." Marcus lifted his badge. The name, Marcus Hale, founder and CEO, gleamed beneath the streetlight. Briggs didn't lean in, didn't even squint. He just waved it off. Fake companies print fake badges every day. A flare of heat rippled through Marcus's chest. Axiom Tech isn't fake. Briggs stepped closer until Marcus felt the warmth of his breath. "You jobless types always pick the fancy spots to hang around. Makes you feel important. Huh?" Marcus stiffened. "I'm asking you to read the badge." "And I'm telling you," Briggs cut in, "this looks like a setup." Another patrol car slowed near the intersection. A couple walking their dog paused. Eyes lingered, unsure, unwilling. Marcus forced calm into his voice. "Officer, if you check your system." "Oh, I'll check," Briggs said, "after we bring you in." "That's unnecessary." Briggs's smile was thin, dangerous. "Is it?" His hand went to his cuffs. Marcus's pulse kicked hard. "I haven't committed a crime." "You're obstructing an officer by refusing lawful instructions." "I haven't refused anything," Marcus said. "I gave you ID. And I said it's questionable." A door opened behind Marcus. 2 junior employees stepped out, froze, then ducked back in as if retreating from fire. The door thudded shut. Briggs moved faster than Marcus expected. The cold ring of metal clamped around his wrist. "Turn around." "I'm cooperating," Marcus repeated, voice tightening. "Then you won't resist." The second cuff snap closed. Marcus felt his breath shorten as Briggs pushed him toward a patrol car. Streetlight glared against the windows of Axiom Tech's tower. His tower, turning the moment unreal. "Officer, listen." "No," Briggs said, yanking the door open. "You listen. You don't get to stroll around acting like you belong here." Marcus swallowed hard. "I do belong here." Briggs shoved him inside the back seat. The door slammed with a final, echoing thud. From the window, Marcus caught one last glimpse of the building, its polished stone, its proud height, its silent witnesses. Briggs slid into the front seat, radio crackling. "One detained," he said. "Possible trespasser." Marcus closed his eyes, jaw trembling with controlled anger. The car pulled away. The city light streaked past, blurring like smudged glass. And somewhere behind him, the unspoken truth pressed down. One officer's assumption had become a cage. The holding cell smelled of old concrete and something sour beneath the fluorescent hum. Marcus sat on the cold bench, hands clasped between his knees, trying to keep his breathing steady. The cuffs had been removed, but the marks burned in his skin, faint red circles that pulsed with every heartbeat. A metal door clanged open. An officer with a shaved head peered inside. "You, Hale." His tone held no recognition, only the clipped rhythm of someone checking off a list. "Stand by." Marcus didn't move. "I've been asking to make a call." "And you'll get it," the officer said, already turning away. "When it's processed." Processed. The word fell like a lid. Bureaucracy as a wall. Two men in the opposite corner murmured to each other. Their eyes flicked toward Marcus, curious, cautious. One offered a nod. Marcus returned it, though he felt distant from everything, as if seeing the room through thick glass. Time blurred. Footsteps, voices, doors. No explanations. Finally, a second officer, older, softer features, approached. "You're up for intake interview." Marcus followed him down a narrow hallway. The interview room was small, table bolted to the floor, camera angled from the ceiling. A young woman waited inside, briefcase open, suit creased from hours of work. She looked up. Her expression shifted instantly. "Mr. Hale." Marcus blinked. "You know me." "I'm your assigned public defender," she said. "Lena Ortiz." Her brow tightened with disbelief. "I recognize you from that business summit last fall." He managed a strained exhale. "Then you know I shouldn't be here." "I figured that much." She motioned for him to sit. The arrest report says suspicious behavior, resisting instructions, and attempting to flee. "Did you?" "No," Marcus said sharply. "None of that. I showed ID." He ignored it. Lena flipped through the report. "Briggs wrote that you were agitated and uncooperative." "That's a lie." She gave a slow nod, as if unsurprised. These phrased-up narratives, this is how they construct probable cause. Marcus leaned forward. "You've seen this before." "Too many times." She lowered her voice. "But normally, the people targeted don't own companies with global portfolios." Marcus's jaw tightened. "That didn't matter tonight." "No," she agreed quietly. "It didn't." A knock cut the moment short. An officer signaled through the window. "Wrap up." Lena pushed a legal pad across the table. "Write the exact sequence of events. Keep it factual. No emotion, no commentary. The cleaner the record, the harder it is to twist." Marcus took the pen. His hand trembled slightly. "Can I make my phone call?" "I'll request it again," Lena said. "They are dragging their feet." He started writing. The words felt cold, too small for the humiliation lodged inside his chest. 30 minutes later, the call finally came. A payphone mounted to the wall. An officer stood 2 feet away, arms crossed. Marcus dialed his COO, Jamal Reeves. The line clicked. "Marcus, where the hell have you been? I saw cops outside the building." "I was arrested," Marcus said. A sharp inhale. "For what?" "Existing in front of my own headquarters." Jamal muttered a curse. Papers rustled. He was pacing. "Are you all right? Did they?" "I'm fine," Marcus said, though the truth felt more complex. "But I need you to contact PR. And the legal team. Quietly." "Quietly?" "Marcus, half the staff saw them take you away." Marcus closed his eyes. "I don't want this turning into a company circus before I know what Briggs filed." "Briggs," Jamal repeated. "That the officer's name?" "Yes." A pause. "I'll handle the internal side." "But, Marcus, this is going to escalate. You know that, right?" The officer tapped his wrist impatiently. I have to go, Marcus said. Just keep things steady. I've got you, Jamal said. And Marcus, we're not letting this slide. The line cut. Back in the cell, conversations quieted as Marcus entered. As if people sense a shift, the subtle weight someone carries after the system has pressed its thumb down. Minutes passed. Maybe an hour. Maybe more. Finally, another voice called from the hallway. Hail, let's go. Marcus stood. The escort this time was a detective, mid-50s, gray hair clipped close, expression unreadable. He guided Marcus into an office filled with stacks of paperwork and a humming desktop monitor. Behind the desk, the detective studied a screen. You're Marcus Hale, he said flatly. Yes. Founder of Axiom Tech. Yes. The detective exhaled through his nose, long and annoyed. Briggs didn't know any of that in his report. Because he never checked my ID. He claims you refused to present it. Marcus stared at him. Do you believe that? The detective didn't answer. Instead, he clicked through several screens. After a tense minute, he stood up. You're being released. Charges won't be filed at this time. At this time, Marcus repeated. It means you're free to leave. The detective opened a drawer, pulled out Marcus's wallet and phone, and slid them across the counter. We'll be in touch if follow-up is necessary. No apology, not even a hint of acknowledgement that something had gone wrong. Marcus stared at his belongings, then at the detective. Officer Briggs made false statements. That's a matter for internal review, the detective replied, his tone already closing off the conversation. You may file a complaint. I intend to. The detective nodded once, curt, formal. Then you know the process. Marcus took his things, feeling the weight of the room pressing inward, a system designed to absorb outrage and return silence. He stepped out into the hallway. A door buzzed open. Cold night air rushed in, sharp, unwelcoming, honest. Freedom shouldn't have felt this small. The boardroom's glass walls reflected the early morning sun, turning every surface sharp and unforgiving. Marcus walked in with the stiffness of someone who hadn't slept, suit pressed but eyes shadowed. The directors were already seated, 8 of them, arranged like an audience pretending not to be a jury. Conversation stopped instantly. Elaine Foster, chair of the board, folded her hands. Marcus, we've all seen the footage. Then this meeting should be short, Marcus said, sliding into his seat. Elaine's expression tightened. That depends. The CFO, Langford, cleared his throat. The video makes a company look exposed, vulnerable. He avoided Marcus's gaze. We're assessing reputational risk. Marcus leaned back. Reputational risk happened because a police officer decided I didn't belong outside my own building. A murmur moved around the table. Some uncomfortable, some annoyed. Elaine spoke carefully. Marcus, the footage is disturbing. No one doubts that. But shareholders will have questions. What were you doing outside so late? Marcus stared at her, breathing. After a 14-hour day. Yes, but it creates a narrative, Elaine continued. Investors may worry this could spark controversy. Headlines. Activist blowback. We need to be strategic. Marcus's jaw flexed. Strategic about what? The fact that I was arrested without cause? Or the fact that it happened in front of this building? It's not about fault, Langford said. It's about perception. Marcus took a slow breath. Say it plainly. Langford hesitated. Then, videos like this, they turn into movements. Hashtags. Protests. The company could be dragged into something uncontrollable. Marcus held his stare for several seconds. Dragged? Or revealed? Silence. Jamal, seated near the end of the table as COO, finally spoke. This isn't a PR incident. This is our CEO being profiled and detained in front of employees. Maybe the question shouldn't be how this affects the company, but why no one stepped outside to intervene? A few directors shifted uncomfortably. Elaine offered a thin smile. No one blames you, Marcus. We're simply concerned. About me? Marcus asked. Or about the stock price? Elaine didn't answer. A large screen lit up with Paul's footage, The viral clip. Marcus, hands out. Briggs advancing. The split second where the cuffs clicked. The stunned faces inside the glass lobby. Someone press play. Briggs's voice echoed through the speakers. You jobless types always pick the fancy spots. The boardroom froze. A single line, but it hit like a blunt instrument. Langford winced. Another director looked down at a notepad as if the words themselves might stain her. Marcus watched quietly. He didn't flinch this time. He'd replayed the moment 100 times already. When the video ended, Elaine cleared her throat. We're preparing a statement. We prefer to frame this as a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Marcus repeated. It will calm investors. It wasn't a misunderstanding, Marcus said. It was profiling. It was abuse of power. And it won't be corrected by soft language. Marcus, Elaine said gently, we're only suggesting caution. Marcus's voice dropped. And I'm suggesting we stop pretending this is a PR inconvenience instead of what it is. Langford leaned forward, expression tight. If this becomes a public crusade, Marcus, it may damage your ability to lead. Investors don't want polarizing figures. Marcus held his stare. You're telling me to stay quiet. No, Langford said quickly. We're telling you to be measured. Another director chimed in, voice brittle. It might be wise to let the department handle this internally. Formal complaints can escalate quickly. Marcus studied her. Escalate for whom? She didn't answer. Jamal crossed his arms. If Marcus doesn't file a complaint, he's endorsing what happened. Elaine shot him a warning look. This is a delicate situation. Marcus's voice was steady now. I'm filing the complaint. The words landed with the weight of a gavel. Elaine exhaled. Then we'll need to manage the fallout. Marcus stood. I'll manage the truth. You manage the fallout. Before anyone could respond, he gathered his folder and walked out. The hallway outside the boardroom was quiet except for distant footsteps. Marcus felt his pulse pounding, not with fear, but with clarity. The meeting had drawn lines, exposed loyalties, revealed priorities. His phone buzzed. A notification lit the screen. 1,247 new mentions. #Axiom Tech arrest. He opened the trending tag. Clips of the arrest. Employee testimonies. Strangers analyzing the cuffs snapping closed. Comment threads arguing about race, policing, corporate responsibility. A message appeared at the top. This is unacceptable. We stand with Marcus Hale. Another, he built that company. They arrested him outside it. Another, how many times does this happen without a camera? Comments surge in real time. Outrage, support, confusion, anger. Briggs's name had surfaced too. Officers defending him. A union account calling the video misconstrued. Anonymous users digging through public records. Jamal appeared beside Marcus, having slipped out of the boardroom a few minutes later. They are scrambling, Jamal said. I notice. You all right? No, Marcus said, but I'm done pretending this is acceptable. Jamal nodded. Good. A new notification appeared, the City Police Department's official post. Initial review indicates no misconduct. Incident under routine assessment. Marcus stared at the screen. Routine, he said quietly. That's their shield. Jamal crossed his arms. Then we take it apart. Marcus slipped his phone into his pocket. His footsteps echoed as he walked toward his office, shoulders squared despite the exhaustion pulling at him. He no longer felt humiliation. He felt resolve, because now it wasn't just one officer and one night. It was a system intent on burying the truth. And Marcus Hale had no intention of being buried. The precinct internal affairs office looked cleaner than the rest of the building. Polished tile floors, neatly stacked forms, glass partitions. But beneath the orderliness, Marcus sensed something rigid, fortified. A wall disguised as a workplace. He checked in at the front desk. The clerk didn't look up. Name. Marcus Hale. I'm here to file a complaint against. Take a seat, the clerk said, still typing. I didn't finish. Name will be called, she said, voice flat. Marcus Saturday. The chairs were arranged in a stiff semicircle, bolted to the floor. A woman across from him clutched a folder, shaking subtly. An older man stared at the wall as if replaying a memory he wanted to escape. Two teenagers whispered to each other, eyes tired. Different faces. Same story. After 20 silent minutes, a door opened. "Hail!" Marcus stood. A sergeant with glasses and a close-cropped beard motioned him inside. The interview room felt colder. A single camera watched overhead. Papers were spread across a metal desk. "Sergeant Niles," the man said, "you're filing a complaint against Officer Briggs." "Yes." Niles tapped the screen of a tablet. Detainment occurred outside Axiom Tech headquarters, 22:4 to 6 hours. Body cam footage currently under review. Currently. Marcus said, "It's been 3 days." Backlog. Niles said, "Footage sometimes takes time to upload." Marcus met his eyes. "I was told all Bodicom's auto-sync at shift end." Niles didn't blink. "When systems behave. And when they don't, we follow protocol." Marcus kept his voice steady. "I'd like to give my statement." "Proceed," Niles said. Marcus recounted the night, Briggs's approach, the dismissal of his ID, the line about jobless types, the cuffs. Niles typed without expression, pausing only once. "You're claiming the officer used racially charged language." "That's not a claim. It's on video." "Some video circulating online appear edited," Niles said. Marcus stiffened. "The original footage is on the building security cameras." "We're obtaining that," Niles said, "but until we verify authenticity, we proceed cautiously." "Cautiously for whom?" Marcus asked. Niles didn't answer. After taking the final detail, Niles clicked his tablet shut. "Your complaint will be reviewed. You'll be contacted." "When?" "There's a queue." Marcus inhaled slowly. "I'd like confirmation the body cam footage still exists." Niles cleared his throat. "Footage is stored according to retention policy." "That isn't what I asked." Niles leaned back. "Mr. Hale, systems malfunction. Files corrupt. Cameras fail. It happens." "If it happens here," Marcus said carefully, "you understand how that will look." Niles's tone sharpened subtly. "I'm not here to discuss optics." "No," Marcus said. "Only walls." Niles stood. Interview concluded. Outside, the hallway buzzed with low voices. Marcus walked out of the precinct into gray afternoon light. The air tasted heavy, like rain waiting to fall. His phone buzzed. Jamal calling. Marcus answered. "I filed it." "How'd they treat you?" "Like an inconvenience with a pulse." "That bad?" "They said the body cam is under review, but I don't think they viewed anything." Jamal exhaled. "They are stalling, betting the story dies down." "It won't," Marcus said. "Not this time." Before Jamal could respond, another notification appeared. Email, unknown sender. Subject, "You'll need this." Marcus opened it. Inside was a single sentence. "Check the incident report narrative. It's not the only version." And beneath it, attachment, Briggs_report_internal.pdf. Marcus slowed his steps. "Hold on," he told Jamal. "I just got something." "From who?" "No name." He opened the PDF. It was Briggs's internal report, longer, more detailed, darker than the one Lena had shown him. Statements he had never heard. Implications twisted to portray Marcus as aggressive, evasive, unpredictable. The narrative painted a caricature designed to justify the cuffs. Jamal's voice cut in. "Marcus." "He wrote a second version," Marcus said. "A much worse one." "What do you mean?" "He claimed I shouted at him, that I refused multiple commands, that I advanced toward him in a confrontational stance. None of that happened." Jamal swore under his breath. "That's falsification." "That's fabrication," Marcus said. Another line in the report caught his eye. "Bodycam unavailable due to device error." Marcus stopped walking. "He claims the camera malfunctioned." Jamal went silent. Marcus shut the email. "I'm bringing this to Lena first, then to the Oversight Committee if I have to." "You won't be alone," Jamal said. Marcus ended the call and kept walking, steps tense, mind burning. A passing stranger slowed to look at him. Recognition flickered in her eyes. "Are you the guy from a video?" she asked quietly. Marcus hesitated. "Yes." She nodded once, firmly. "What happened to you was wrong." Her voice shook, not from fear, from knowing what it meant. "Thank you," Marcus said softly. She walked on. The city swallowed her whole. Later that evening, in Lena's office, the blinds were drawn but the tension felt fluorescent. Marcus placed his phone on the desk and slid the email toward her. Lena scanned the document. Stopped. Reread. Her jaw tightened. This is an internal version, not meant for public record. Someone leaked it. "Good," she said, surprising him, "because this changes everything." "How?" She turned the screen toward him. "If body cam footage is missing, the department will try to frame this as he said. But with two conflicting reports, we have evidence of procedural misconduct. That opens the door to an external investigation." Marcus felt something shift inside him, pain mixing with resolve. "Then we push," he said. Lena nodded sharply. "I'll file motions, and we'll request the footage formally. They'll try to block it." "Let them," Marcus said. "I'm done playing gently." Lena leaned back, studying him. "You understand this will get uglier." "I'm not afraid of ugly," Marcus said. "I'm afraid of silence." The room fell quiet, the truth settling between them. When Marcus stepped back into the night, rain had finally begun, thin, cold drops tapping the pavement. As he walked toward his car, he spotted a patrol car across the street. Briggs. Their eyes met through the windshield. For a single moment, neither moved. Then Briggs gave a small, confident smile. Not fear, not regret, just certainty that the system would protect him. Marcus stood in the rain, heartbeat steadying, gaze unbroken. "That's your wall," he murmured to himself. "Then I'll find the cracks." He turned and walked away. The rain fell harder. The resolve did too. Marcus returned to his office the next morning to find Jamal waiting, coffee in hand and eyes sharp. The city outside glistened, wet, post-rain streets reflecting fractured lights like a warning. "I heard from a source inside the precinct," Jamal said immediately. "A young officer, Lieutenant Patel, is not happy with Briggs. Says this isn't the first time he's gone off script." Marcus's brow furrowed. Off script meaning what? "Same behavior," Jamal said. "Profiling, public harassment, cover-ups. Every time. He's scared consequences." Marcus's jaw tightened. Why hasn't it been exposed? Union protection, department politics, fear, you name it. Marcus leaned against the polished oak desk, staring at the window. "So now it's me, and maybe him if he talks." "That's it." Jamal nodded. "We need leverage." An email pinged. Marcus opened it cautiously. Subject: Truth you need attachment. Memos_logs.zip. Inside were internal memos from the department contradicting Briggs's statements. Emails between supervisors referencing minor complaints against him over the years. Notes about body cam malfunctions flagged as suspicious. Marcus exhaled, a mixture of relief and anger. The system was flawed, but now it had left breadcrumbs. "Jamal," he said, "this is what we use. It proves pattern, intent, and fabrication." Jamal looked grave. "We release this too early. It'll be dismissed as vendetta. Too late. They'll bury it." Marcus opened the document marked Incident History _Briggs.pdf. Line after line detailed prior complaints, mostly ignored, rarely investigated. A subtle pattern emerged. "People have tried," he said softly, "but no one had the visibility." "Until now," Jamal said. Later that afternoon, Marcus arrived at the precinct, not as a victim, but as a storm in tailored suit. Lena trailed behind, clutching a folder. Briggs was visible through the glass, organizing his desk. When he looked up and saw Marcus, he stiffened. Marcus strode to the reception. "I'm here to speak with the detective handling my complaint." The clerk eyed him briefly. "Detective Niles will see you." Inside, Niles's office felt smaller somehow. He gestured to a chair. "You're back." "I have additional evidence," Marcus said. He placed a folder on the desk. Internal memos, emails, previous complaints, all indicating a pattern of misconduct. Niles adjusted his glasses, skimming the papers. His expression darkened. "This complicates things." "Not for me," Marcus said. "For him." The office door clicked. Briggs had appeared behind Niles, voice tight. "I don't know what you think this." "Save it," Marcus said, cutting him off. "Your story doesn't match the evidence." Briggsy's jaw twitched. The camera malfunctioned. Statements can't be twisted forever, Marcus said. Someone finally notices. A whisper reached them through the office walls. A young officer, Patel. His presence was subtle, almost invisible, but Marcus caught his eyes. Patel's brief nod said more than words could. Acknowledgement, support, silent defiance. Briggs noticed too. His confident smirk faltered. The foundation of certainty carried for weeks began to crumble. Niles rubbed his temple. If the reports are authentic, then this is a serious breach. Internal Affairs will need to convene a review. Briggs straightened, voice forced. This is exaggerated. You don't know the context. Yes, Marcus said. I know exactly what happened. He leaned slightly forward. And now the public might, too. Outside the precinct, Marcus checked his phone. Notifications poured in. Hashtags continued to trend. Social media accounts with thousands of followers were sharing analysis and commentary. The narrative had shifted. People questioned the department's credibility. Public conversation was no longer about Marcus's behavior. It was about Briggs and the institutional structures enabling him. Jamal pulled him aside. We have momentum, but don't underestimate them. They'll push back hard. Marcus stared at the police building, its stone facade now less imposing. The walls were still there, but he'd found a hammer, and cracks had begun to appear. I'm ready, he said. Evening brought a confrontation in the precinct lobby. Briggs stood near the exit, arms crossed, trying to assert dominance. You really think your emails matter? He sneered. Marcus approached, voice calm but sharp. I think transparency matters. You tried to weaponize your position. Now your own words are evidence. Briggsy's lips curled, but the certainty had gone. His eyes darted toward Patel, toward Niles. He realized the shield he counted on was punctured. The lobby fell into an uneasy silence. Staff watched quietly. The dynamic had shifted. The fear they once felt around Briggs was no longer total. Even small gestures, Patel clearing his throat, a clerk holding his gaze, hinted at a quiet revolution of observation. Marcus exhaled, internalizing the moment. The system remained massive and unyielding, but small fractures could widen. Momentum had begun. Prepare for escalation, Jamal said. Marcus nodded. Let them show their cards first. Then we act. The first cracks were visible. The walls were not yet broken, but the hammer had found its mark. And Marcus Hale had learned patience as the most dangerous tool in a fight that requires justice. The civil oversight hearing was held in a sunlit chamber with high ceilings, rows of chairs for observers, and a long dais where officials sat with papers stacked in neat piles. Cameras lined the walls, recording every gesture, every glance, every word. Marcus entered with Lena beside him, each step measured, deliberate. He felt the weight of expectation pressing against his chest, not just his own, but the eyes of the city, the community, and those who had seen the viral video. At the front, Briggs was seated, flanked by his union representative. Confidence radiated from him, or at least he wanted it to. The chairperson called a hearing to order. This session is convened to review complaints against Officer Briggs. Mr. Hale, you may present your account. Marcus stepped forward. He let his eyes scan the room, taking in journalists, onlookers, and the members of the Oversight Committee. Then he focused inward. He drew a deep breath. I was arrested outside my own company headquarters, he began, voice steady but resonant, carrying into the chamber. I presented identification. I was handcuffed. I was humiliated. And for what? Because Officer Briggs assumed, without verification, that I was jobless, and that assumption dictated his actions. He paused, letting the words land. A faint murmur of recognition rippled through observers. Cameras clicked. "I am not the first person he has treated this way," Marcus continued, producing the leaked memos and internal reports. "Evidence shows this is a pattern of behavior reinforced by misreporting, omission, and claims of device failure. We are not simply talking about one officer's bad judgment. We are talking about a culture of unchecked authority where assumptions based on race dictate enforcement." Briggs shifted in his seat, lips pressing thin. The union rep whispered something, but Marcus ignored them. The committee called for questions. "Mr. Hale," one official said, voice clipped, "are you alleging racial profiling?" "I am," Marcus said plainly, "because that is exactly what occurred, and it is corroborated by statements, video evidence, and witness testimony." The committee nodded. Notes were taken, papers shuffled. Marcus felt the tension tighten and loosen in rhythmic pulses. His words were weapons and shields simultaneously. Then came Briggs's testimony. "I followed standard procedure," he said, tone defensive. "I acted on the situation as presented. There was—" "Perception," Marcus interrupted calmly. "There was your perception, and it was wrong." Briggs's eyes narrowed. He adjusted his tie. "The video does not show the entire context. The individual was agitated." "I was calm," Marcus said, lifting his hand, showing the slight bruises left from cuffs. "You misrepresented my actions in internal reports. You claimed I advanced toward you. I did not. You denied the evidence captured on body cam. You falsified statements." A murmur rose in the gallery. Reporters exchanged glances. Social media posts began circulating live from attendees. Briggs's face reddened. "I am trained to respond to potential threats." "Threats?" Marcus said, voice sharper now. "I was a man in my own building, a man who pays your salary in part through taxes. You handcuff me based on nothing but assumption and bias." Silence. Then Lena stepped forward, presenting the full internal memos and emails. These documents show repeated complaints against Officer Briggs for similar conduct. Body cam malfunctions are recorded as recurring, coinciding suspiciously with incidents involving minority individuals. This is corroboration of a systemic issue, not isolated misjudgment. A murmur from the Oversight Committee members. Papers rustled. Briggs's lips parted in a forced smile, but his eyes flickered. For the first time, uncertainty. The wall he relied upon wavered. A whistleblower, introduced anonymously, handed a USB to the chairperson. It contained the complete body cam footage from the night of Marcus's arrest. The grainy video, originally suppressed, showed Briggs closing in, dismissing Marcus's ID, and pressing the cuffs without justification. The committee watched. The public watched. Every subtle gesture, every malicious word now undeniable. Briggs's posture stiffened. His mouth opened, closed, no sound forming. The room absorbed the evidence like a vacuum. Every eye trained, every pulse tethered to the unfolding revelation. Marcus remained still, absorbing the scene without flinching. Years of effort, hours of frustration, and nights of fear condensed into this exact, cinematic moment. The world could see, and now it could not look away. The chairperson spoke last, voice formal but tinged with gravity. "The committee acknowledges receipt of all evidence. This hearing will be adjourned until further investigation is complete." Briggs's union rep whispered urgently, but his words were drowned out by the rising hum of whispers, questions, and reactions from the gallery. As the hearing adjourned, Marcus stepped outside into the courtyard. The sunlight was sharp, reflecting off puddles from an earlier rain. His legs carried him forward with an unfamiliar weight lifted. Vindication felt possible, not complete, but tangible. Journalists waited, cameras rolling. "Mr. Hale, comments?" a reporter asked. He looked straight into the lens. "Justice is not instant, and it is not guaranteed. But truth cannot be contained forever. Patterns of abuse can be exposed, and people must see them for what they are." The flash of bulbs lit his features, casting half of his face in shadow, half in clarity. Briggs exited moments later, head down, entourage attempting to shield him from cameras. Eyes avoided Marcus. For once, The certainty he clung to had eroded. Marcus exhaled. Every small crack, every documented pattern, every video frame had contributed to this shift. Yet he knew the system's mechanisms would push back, attempt to spin, stall, and delay. This was the start of a long process, not the end. Even so, the air felt different. The walls that had once seemed insurmountable were now scored with fractures. The first victories had been claimed. Marcus tilted his head back, feeling the sharp sun on his face. The fight was far from over, but for the first time, he glimpsed the possibility that justice, slow, deliberate, systemic, could prevail. And in that possibility, Marcus Hale found resolve. The news broke early in the morning. Headlines scrolled across screens worldwide. Officer Briggs suspended pending investigation. Pattern of misconduct exposed. Internal documents released. Viral arrest footage prompts departmental review. Marcus leaned against the kitchen counter of his penthouse, coffee untouched, absorbing the rapid cascade of information. Jamal paced nearby, muttering under his breath, refreshing tabs faster than the news could update. "It's happening," Jamal said. "They're reacting." Marcus didn't respond immediately. He watched Briggs's public statement, a thinly veiled apology that avoided responsibility. Every carefully chosen word attempted to restore credibility, but the cracks were undeniable. Social media users dissected every syllable, pointing out contradictions, prior complaints, and inconsistencies with the body cam footage. "Look at the union's reaction," Jamal said, showing him a thread of posts. "They are scrambling to protect him, but the public exposure is too widespread." Marcus sipped his coffee finally. "Not enough to excuse what he did," he muttered. By mid-morning, official notifications arrived. The department suspended Briggs indefinitely, pending a formal investigation into misconduct and falsification of reports. Internal Affairs had been instructed to review every complaint filed against him in the last 5 years. Briggs's colleagues whispered in hallways. Some avoided eye contact. Others muttered quietly about how this had been coming for years. Marcus noticed a subtle shift in the department's demeanor whenever he passed by reporters in the lobby. The confidence Briggs had wielded like armor had dissipated. Back at Axiom Tech, the board had called an emergency meeting. Elaine Foster's voice carried formal gratitude. "Mr. Hale, your composure and persistence have brought the company's values to forefront. We are proud of your leadership." Marcus's gaze swept the room. Directors who had questioned him in the boardroom 2 weeks ago now offered restrained admiration. But he noticed subtle unease in some, relief that the public outrage had not yet damaged the stock, acknowledgement that their prior advice had been self-serving. "I appreciate acknowledgement," Marcus said evenly, "but this isn't about image. It's about accountability." Jamal leaned against the doorway. "They're learning the hard way." Marcus allowed a brief nod. "Let them." Briggs's downfall accelerated in public view. Investigators discovered repeated falsifications in his internal reports, corroborated by memos Marcus had obtained. A whistleblower revealed that several camera malfunctions coincided with incidents involving minority individuals. The department was forced to make a statement. Briggs was suspended, an internal audit was underway, and prior complaints will be reviewed. The union released a statement, defensive but muted. Briggs attempted interviews with local news, his voice carefully measured, projecting authority, but the evidence overshadowed him. Every clip, every leaked email, every memo contradicted him. Marcus followed each development with meticulous attention. Each revelation was a strike against the officer's credibility, each acknowledgement of prior errors a confirmation that the system could bend under persistent scrutiny. Yet the emotional cost was real. Marcus's nights remained restless. He woke to the echo of cuffs snapping, the memory of public humiliation lingering like a shadow. The stress left faint lines across his forehead, strained his relationships, and tested his patience. The fight had not ended with Briggs's suspension. The work of systemic exposure and prevention was ongoing. Still, there was progress. The public and internal scrutiny forced the department to admit flaws, however begrudgingly. The community recognized Marcus not only as a victim but as an advocate for fairness. Organizations that had remained silent began reaching out for guidance, inspired by the visibility of the injustice he endured. He met with Lena late one evening. Papers and digital devices cluttered the conference table. "They are trying to spin it, Lena said, but the evidence is undeniable. If they push, you can pursue legal action. Not revenge, but accountability. Marcus nodded. I don't want to destroy anyone. I want transparency. I want patterns to be exposed. Lena leaned back. Then you've succeeded beyond expectation. The public knows the truth, and that truth will stay in the record. He allowed himself a small exhale. Small victories. Yes, she said. But remember, Marcus, small victories can ripple. In a quiet moment, Marcus walked the streets near Axiom Tech. People passed him with nods or whispered recognition. A man stopped and said quietly, "Thank you for standing up." Marcus nodded. We all need to stand up. Otherwise, nothing changes. The city pulsed with energy, a mixture of indifference, curiosity, and vigilance. Marcus felt the emotional weight of the last weeks, anger, fear, humiliation, but also the relief that one officer no longer wielded unchallenged power. Weeks later, Briggs faced formal charges of falsification of reports and abuse of authority. Internal Affairs recommended termination. Media outlets detailed a pattern of misconduct, using the evidence Marcus had uncovered. Public perception had turned sharply, diminishing Briggs' professional reputation to irrelevance. The poetic justice Marcus had sought was not instantaneous revenge. It was the systemic consequences catching up with someone who had abused authority repeatedly. Marcus, however, did not celebrate. Standing by the window in his office, overlooking the city at night, he reflected on the cost. Trust fractured, personal vulnerability exposed, the ongoing burden of vigilance. Victory had a price. But Marcus Hale was unbroken. The system had walls, but it also had cracks. And he had found them. Marcus sat in his office late that evening, the skyline glittering behind him, streets glistening with the remnants of rain. He poured himself a glass of water, hands steady now, though the echoes of the past weeks lingered like a shadow. The city, once indifferent, had witnessed a small fracture in the system. But even with Briggs suspended and exposed, Marcus felt the heavy cost of reality pressing in. Jamal leaned against the doorframe, observing silently. You've done more than most would dare, he said. The city, the company, the people, they see the cracks now. Marcus turned his gaze outward. They see a small part, but for every Briggs exposed, dozens remain hidden. His voice was quiet, almost a whisper to himself. And some of them won't be caught. They'll learn from this, Jamal said, choosing optimism. Your fight forced visibility. That's more than silence ever gave anyone. Marcus exhaled slowly. Visibility is only the beginning. Change is measured in persistence. That night, the office lights dimmed. Marcus scrolled through social media, comments, analysis, and opinion threads documenting the incident, Briggs' suspension, and the ongoing discussion of systemic police misconduct. A surge of gratitude, anger, and determination ran through him. The people were speaking. And for once, someone in authority had to listen. A notification drew his attention, an anonymous message. This doesn't end here. Keep pushing. There are more like him. Marcus read it twice. The words were simple, but the weight was profound. It was both warning and encouragement, a reminder that the battle for accountability never truly concluded. He set the phone down. For a moment, the apartment was silent except for the hum of city lights and distant traffic. He allowed himself a rare, contemplative pause. Reflection wasn't weakness, it was strategy. Days later, the department issued a formal acknowledgement of the complaints against Briggs, confirming multiple instances of misconduct and procedural failure. Public statements praised Marcus's patience and courage. News outlets detailed the evidence trail he uncovered, the memos, emails, internal complaints, and body cam footage that had once been suppressed. Marcus's phone buzzed with calls from journalists, legal consultants, and advocacy organizations. Each interaction reminded him that his personal ordeal had become a platform for broader awareness. This was influence exercised responsibly, and with it came accountability, not only for Briggs, but for the systems that had allowed him to act unchallenged. At Axiom Tech, the board convened another meeting. The atmosphere had shifted entirely. Directors who had once urged caution now engaged openly in conversations about ethics, leadership responsibility, and systemic integrity. Elaine Foster, chair of the board, looked Marcus in the eye. "You've shown more than tenacity," she said. "You've shown that one person's courage can reshape perception and policy." Marcus inclined his head. "It's not about me. It's about standards, how power is exercised, and how people respond when they see abuse." Jamal added quietly, "And the company is stronger for it, but you carried a heavy burden." Marcus allowed a faint, controlled exhale. "I know. Every fight leaves marks, whether visible or hidden, but some marks are necessary." Evenings became his time for quiet reflection. He revisited each step of the ordeal: the arrest, the holding cell, the boardroom confrontation, the leaked reports, the oversight hearing, Briggs' suspension. Each scene replayed like a dark cinematic reel, threading moments of humiliation with moments of resilience. And in every frame, he recognized the emotional cost. It wasn't about revenge. It was about acknowledgement, visibility, and accountability. The realization settled on him. Poetic justice wasn't the collapse of one person, but the illumination of a flawed system and the empowerment of those who refused to accept silence. Weeks later, the legal review concluded. Briggs was formally dismissed from the department, and internal procedures were revised to prevent similar incidents. Marcus's complaint, amplified by evidence, had forced systemic adjustments. Yet, the victory was tempered with awareness. Institutional change was iterative, slow, and contested. Marcus returned to his office overlooking the city. The night was calm, reflective. He thought of the thousands who had never had a camera, a platform, or a voice. He thought of the patterns that still existed, hidden behind walls of procedure and habit. And he understood the weight of vigilance, perpetual, exhausting, but necessary. A notification lit his phone, a message from a young employee at Axiom Tech. "Thank you for showing us courage isn't optional." Marcus smiled faintly. That, he realized, was a real legacy, not the suspension of one officer, not the headlines, but the ripple effect in hearts and minds. He stood by the window, city lights mirrored in his eyes. The fight for justice had cost him sleep, peace, and certainty, but it had also given him perspective, influence, and resolve. Marcus Hale had been humiliated, challenged, and tested, but he had endured, and the world, imperfect as it was, had been forced to see. The rain returned that night, soft against the glass. It washed the streets, but not the lessons. Marcus watched, absorbing every drop. Justice, he realized, was not the absence of wrongdoing. It was a courage to face it, document it, and demand accountability. He turned away from the window. The city pulsed beneath him. The fight continued. But for now, cracks in the wall glimmered with light.